Welcome in this session. Today we shall talk about deconstruction, its propounder in relation to contemporary literary theory. William Blake somewhere has said, genius is always above the world. Frederick Jameson somewhere in his book For Marx has referentially mentioned that philosopher doesn't know his sphere. Wherever he speaks, whatever he speaks, that thing becomes the area of his research. But it seems very impractical when we come to the conclusion of assessing any man of letter. Everyone has his end. Everything has its final point. The determinist believes everything is determined. Nothing is in the hands of materialistic creator. But in 40s of 20th century, a man was born in Jewish family, suffered a lot at his childhood because of anti-Semitic movements, had to flee from his native and settle somewhere else. He was not so much intellectual in academic field, so failed many a times. But he was so much optimistic and positive to life that she never took back his steps and always carried over his legs onward. His name is Jacques Derrida. Perhaps this tendency lies in his personality, does not let him to speak about any fixity. Perhaps this positive trait of his personality doesn't let him to speak that there is something where something gets end. He is very much positive of thing which is yet to come. And he expects it will come. This idea was prolifically, productively, strongly embedded in his philosophical notion. And on the ground of this philosophical notion, he started doing deconstruction. Deconstruction which had been notoriously criticized and welcomed as well by the European, influenced thousands of authors consciously or unconsciously, reshaped mentality of those who had been in a state of emerging or developing state. He thinks that text does not have any fixity of meaning. There is no final meaning of anything. This idea broke out a movement against the established canon called structuralism. According to which everything, every text is made of some certain structures for determined conclusion or determined effect. But Jacques Derrida says that at each reading, something gets missed, and that very thing causes play of enormous and numerous interpretations of itself in the coming future periods. Text cannot be explained at a site. Anything which is explained at a site is not text at all. Text has power to conceal its meaning, desired or undesired meaning. So I will start with how Jacques Derrida thinks about the text and literature, and how did he apply those thinking on reading literature. He says, or he thinks, a text is not a text unless it hides from the first comer from the first glance. The law of its composition and the rules of this game, a text remains moreover forever imperceptible. Why text conceals its secrets? Text is made up of language, which for him is a system of difference. And what that difference, what that system is, how does that system exist? The answer is due to a transcendental signified which remains in the system to differ and to differ the significance of its system. On the basis of this idea, he conceptualized postulation and said, the history of ideas, the history of metaphysics is the history of metaphysics itself. Means reputations have been gone since the first interpretation of metaphysics till present time. In order to clarify for our convenience, we must understand some major concepts of Jacques Derrida's deconstruction theory. And they are: language is a system of difference, the transcendental signified, I have talked about. Critique of metaphysics, logocentric, phonocentric, phallogocentric. Metaphysics had been analyzed by Derrida as logocentric. But when he defines logocentric, he includes the power of phone in the constitution of logocentrism, and the role of, or the major significant role of, logos in the constitution of phonocentrism. This reciprocity or this relativity and vice versa is one of the major or foundational thoughts of deconstruction. As Ferdinand de Saussure talks about binary opposition and their relations, in the same manner Jacques Derrida talks. But Saussure has limited his idea on binary opposition. Jacques Derrida goes beyond binary opposition in order to see the relationship between binary opposite conceptualizations. He sees or looks at them as organized in unstable disequilibrium. Binary opposition do not have formal structure as Saussure has mentioned. According to Jacques Derrida, it is organized, but in such a manner that it is unstable. And the fourth idea is about difference. And since the binary opposition contained in the text in any subject, lies with some secret meaning. Those secret meanings can be received or can be interpreted only when one understands how binary opposition or systems in the binary opposition differs in constituting its meaning. On the basis of these four concepts, deconstruction challenges structuralist assumptions that a text's meaning can be discovered through an examination of its structural codes. Deconstruction operates under the maxim of undecidability. Deconstructionists or deconstruction asks a new set of questions to show that what a text claims it says and what it actually says are different. Deconstruction casts doubt on previously held theories that sought to find meanings in a text. It declares that a text has an almost infinite number of possible interpretations. Remember, infinite number of possible interpretations. To speak anything on anything is not theory, is not the task of a deconstructionist. A deconstructionist is he who has some possibilities of interpretation in his mind, but those possibilities goes into the world of ad infinitum. Deconstruction is a new reading strategy. Why? As a student of literary criticism, you must be knowing that literary criticism had limited area of its study. Literary theory, even after 50, 40, 50, ranging from the period of new criticism, the writers of this period, or the critics of this period, were also concentrating on genre-specific analysis. Later, Crane and Arthur Fry turned the table and he started looking at a work of art from many possible interpretive disciplines. But neither of these two, before 40 and 50 critics, never talked about beyondness of reading. They never suggested to find meaning out of the text, going beyond the subject matters contained in the text. Question is there anything beyond text? Jacques Derrida says no. There is nothing outside the text. Then what text is? Even in the outside there is the text. When you feel there is no text, there is the text. Because you can't live without meaning. Because you can't live without thinking. Not thinking is also a kind of thinking. Not writing is also a kind of writing, whether it is writing in the dream, or dreamy writing, or imaginative writing, unwritten imaginative writing. But one writes, one reads, one interprets, one thinks. All these are the processes through which we can understand man is always living in a world of text. So nothing is outside the text. I know it is a bit difficult to understand. Let us have some example. Take for example Hamlet. Hamlet was a character in a drama. That drama was a tragedy written by Shakespeare. It was all about the mischievous uncle and his affiliations and his wrong desires. He killed Hamlet's husband, Hamlet's father. Husband of his mother. All these are the plots of that drama. But Freud read Hamlet from his point of view. Carl Jung has read Hamlet from his point of view. Ernest Jones read Hamlet from his point of view. Coleridge read Hamlet from his point of view. T.S. Eliot has read Hamlet from his own point of view. Bradley also has written a book called Shakespearean Tragedy. He also has a point about Hamlet as character and a drama. All these people are having their own mindset And from that mindset, they read and they went through that particular drama. Can you imagine all those interpretations? Are these interpretations reflecting the truth about Hamlet? Was Hamlet really suffering from Oedipus complex, as Ernest Jones has criticized him from? Was he really suffering from Freudian repression? Or was his procrastination was due to his moral attitude, as Coleridge has maintained? Which one is truth? Which one is a true analysis of Hamlet? Hamlet is one, a character, the poor one, standing alone. Shakespeare, the poor, he is one. He doesn't know Coleridge will ever read his book or will see his play through some other sources, of course, not in that way as he used to ask his characters to play on the stage in Elizabethan period. Which analysis is true? What I'm trying to say is all these perspectives are explaining one thing, that there is nothing outside the text. In Hamlet, psychology is there. In Hamlet, morality is there. In Hamlet, immorality is there. In Hamlet, procrastination is there. In Hamlet, there are so many things, because man is a man. He is a complex phenomena. And any text which has been written on a man must be complex. It cannot be uncovered at a sight. Nobody can claim to say that at a sight he understands man. In the same manner, at a sight one cannot understand the text. Reading a text is therefore demands a new strategy. Deconstruction is a strategy of desedimentation. A deconstructionist can read Hamlet from all these perspectives which have happened in the ages. It can be done at a time if a deconstructionist is spectrometric in his approach. That's why it is a new reading strategy, because the deconstructionist desediments the things and then looks at each threads of those things and opine or passes out some notes or comments. He knows how to dismantle previous worldview. So he explains everything in relation to the text and that which contained outside the text as well. There are some certain steps. I have categorized two definite categories of steps. The first step of a deconstructionist is to know traditional binaries are hierarchical, should be reversed, that binary of presence, absence, speech, writing, and allow the letters to supplement the former, or expose its undecidability or multiple meanings, or metaphysics of presence opposite to absence, presence of God, of meaning, essence, implies fixed entity meaning. You can see what does it mean. Means if a deconstructionist reader wants to read a text, he must be knowing that absent part which is not implicit or which is not implicitly or easily come out. And then he must relate that epson with something which is explicitly exposited in that text. So, the prime task of a deconstructionist is to find the binaries and reverse that binaries in order to give a new interpretation, to prove and expose the undecidability of meaning. There are some other, the second category is about the last step. Is deconstruction must have the afterword, it cannot have. Derrida said. For always incomplete of an incompletion which is not the negative of a lack, deconstruction is interminable and interminable analysis, theoretical and practical as we used to say, as it is never closed into a system, as it is deconstruction of the systemic totality. This is the idea of Jacques Derrida himself. Deconstructionist reader cannot say that he is going to conclude or finalize things, his subject, or he is putting his idea at last. A deconstructionist always feels that his generalization or his interpretation is an incomplete task, will be completed further. And the time when that completed, the period to complete that interpretation will come, that period will also be reflecting the incompleteness of that completion. Thus, deconstructionist cannot say anything finally. For a deconstructionist, text is open. And he plays with the ambiguities and the secrecy and undecidability and the permutations of the central subject. He also imagines the mutations of that central subject. He also thinks about that subject matter which has never been told by anybody. But he does not do it consciously. He performs this task only when he doesn't know how to do it. In many places, Jacques Derrida has defined deconstruction as to do nothing. Deconstruction means to do nothing. Doing nothing with text is deconstruction. Open as it is. But as it is implies many things. One must be knowing what is as it is. What are some certain ways to make anything as it is. And here the art of deconstruction lies. Now, why, since Jacques Derrida was a philosopher, in his philosophical text, there are references of literary people. He has extrapolated the text of Philippe Solar, Antonin Artaud, Paul Celan, Blanchot, Levinas, Kafka, Sartre, Shakespeare, Shelley, and many more. But he discussed them in reference to his philosophical postulations. But we must understand how does he look at literature, because he had also fond to read literature. For Jacques Derrida, literature voids itself in its limitless. Derrida reads philosophy as literary aesthetician. Derrida closely read and enjoyed works of literature by Mallarmé, Francis Ponzia, Celan, Blanco, Artaud, Genet, Beckett, Kafka, Shakespeare, Wordsworth, Shelley, Levinas, Ponty, France, Joyce, Hugo, Benjamin, Proust, etc. He read, but he read them and enjoyed by interpreting them in different manner. Take for example Joyce. Joyce's Gramophone. This is the title of one of his essays, and this title carries over the subject of Joyce. He deconstructed the word joyous in relation to the subject matters Joyce has ever written in the form of novels. And in doing it, he conceptualized the concept of yes concept in literature. Means accepting the notions of meaning coming automatically or spontaneously at the time of reading the text. Derrida says reading lies in disinterestedness of a writer, what Derrida calls a still insistent reader, who cannot be predicted nearly by the combination of the possibilities of reading that are given by any determined historical situation. Such a reader is thus no longer simply what we call a reader in the common and limited sense of the term. The concept of a still insistent reader, insistent means continuous reader. A reader who doesn't stop his reading on or at some important point. A reader who does not conclude with some certain notions. A reader who never generalizes. Such a reader is a null reader. He is not reader at all. He reads because he reads. There is no casual effects or casual source of his reading. Such a reader adjusts to the thing which is not. So the connection of a reader to the text with an intention to find meaning which is not in the text is the job of a deconstructionist. Jacques Derrida had been a very influential philosopher of his time. He influenced Coligny, he influenced Julian Wolfres and John Muhammad. Coligny is eco-feminist. She emphasized on multidisciplinary studies. She said that ecofeminism is very much related with the environment and the movement called feminism. But she defines and characterizes ecofeminism in very different manner. She seemed to be a multidisciplinarian feminist. She does not have any attraction with the protest or imitation or becoming independent. She emphasized and insisted on following many disciplines in order to understand the feminist text. Julian Wolfres is a new contemporary literary theorist. He is a working professor in Western University. He talks about trauma on testimony. He looks at literature from traumatic trace, that literature has trauma, without trauma there is no literature, and discuss trauma in connection with the Derridian center. Jan Muhammad talks about minority discourse and insisted on that minority discourse should be the part of academic discourse. It should be kept in the syllabi of the world universities, so that minority culture can be heard, minority identity can be heard.